where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So if the kingdom is your treasure, then your mind gonna be dead set in the kingdom. Your eyes gonna be single, you know, like a laser. Like a laser is like it's like heat, but it's focused. You know, it's concentrated heat, concentrated fire, so to speak. That's how your eye supposed to be. Your eye supposed to be single. You know. Let's jump back to right before he made that last statement. How you gotta understand the ocean. So like if you scream, jump, or anything like that, the internet connection just went out. You know, Satan. So I'm gonna go back to what it was that he said. He spoke about how you have to understand the ocean. After I just read Matthew 6:20.
Although synthetic ones are made today. To understand pearls, we've got to understand a little bit about the ocean and the creatures that live there. In the ocean, we have a lot of dissolved materials, the most important of which for our discussion here is the mineral calcite. Now, calcite in crystalline form looks like this, but of course in the ocean, the calcite is dispersed and in solution, so you don't really see it as a solid particle. And little creatures, and even some larger ones that live in the ocean, have the ability to extract calcite or sometimes other materials from the ocean and build a solid shell for themselves. One group that does that is the mollusks, and one example of a mollusk is the oyster. An oyster is a bivalve or a plectropod, a two-shelled mollusk. This is one shell of it. And if we look at this shell, it's made of calcite, very similar to limestone. So if we put a little drop of acid on here, dilute acid, about the strength of vinegar, we're going to get a very powerful reaction between that, which indicates that we have a material made of calcite. So what are pearls and how do they form? Well, oysters have long been harvested for food, and people would occasionally notice that an oyster would have a little round sphere in it. And those were very, very unusual, very uncommon, and very valuable. And then over time, people began to examine those and realized what was going on. If the oyster somehow, when the shell is open and it's taking water in and out, if it gets like a sand grain or some other irritant in there, it will secrete calcite just like it secretes to make its shell, but it will try to coat the irritating substance, foreign matter, whatever you want to call it, until it is smooth on the edge and apparently doesn't bother it as much. But once people figured that out, they developed the bright idea of, hey, let's take some oysters and artificially put a little irritant in them and force them to grow these pearls. And so once they did that, pearl harvesting became much easier.
That shows you this man is the damn devil, man. You know? Goddamn devils. Here the Most High made the oysters to create pearls to protect itself from external irritants. This damn devil want to take these oysters and make a farm of oysters and put an irritant in there so that to force them to produce the pearls. And when you do that, the pearls don't even come out natural. It's not natural because you engineer it that way, but it don't come out as good as it would have came out if you just let the Most High, if you just let nature take its course, so to speak. Rather, if you didn't let it happen the way it's supposed to happen, the natural way, I should say, the way the Most High set it up, which the Most High is still using so white man anyway to do that, just to further prove this man the devil.
And pearls became much less expensive, although they were still valuable due to the time and effort it takes to get them. Now, if you go and buy just cheap costume jewelry today, they're going to be like artificial pearls, synthetically made, and not really from an oyster. But that's the story of pearls and how dissolved minerals in the ocean end up being used by creatures in the ocean, not only to make their homes in which they normally live, but also to protect them against little irritants within their shells, and that leads to the development of pearls.
Right. Scripture say he's going to make a man more precious than fine gold, right? Scripture say was that Hebrews 2:10. I'm not gonna get it. Yahweh Shah was made perfect through sufferings. Now I got another scripture. This is Acts 14:22. This is Acts 14:22, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of the Most High. So through much tribulation, you got to enter into the kingdom of the Most High. Which the kingdom of the Most High is likened unto a pearl, which a pearl is attained through what? Through suffering. Once again, I'm not saying we're oysters. You know, what I'm just doing is how Yahweh Shah compared the kingdom of heaven to a goodly pearl, which a pearl just so happened to be created through suffering. Just as how, in order for you to enter the kingdom, you got to get into the kingdom through suffering, right? Tribulation, like how um a pearl is created through the irritation and suffering of the suffering. But you got to achieve the goodly pearl, which is the kingdom, through suffering as well. Which the goodly pearl is also likened to the knowledge. You know, you get the knowledge through suffering as well. You know, and this right here like a good web page. I want to look a couple stuff up here. See motion sickness, what is it, and all this other stuff they got here. But let's get right to the video.
While most jewelry comes from precious stones and jewels found in the earth, you've heard that pearls, all round and shiny, come from oysters, which just so happen to gracefully open their mouths and let us take the perfectly formed gem for our own use. Sounds right, right? Well, if not, why do they make pearls? As it turns out, shelled mollusks such as oysters create pearls as an immune response to foreign objects. Oysters are bivalves, which means their shell has two parts. Inside these shells is an organ called the mantle, which releases a substance called nacre made primarily of calcium carbonate. This nacre is responsible for the production of the shell. Pearls are formed when a foreign substance or parasite makes its way between the shell and the mantle. This usually happens when the oyster has opened its shell for feeding. The foreign object gets into the mollusk, which then releases nacre as a protective measure, wrapping the foreign object up many times over. This process is similar to when you get a splinter, and happens over years, eventually forming a beautiful pearl. Unfortunately for you, splinters don't make pearls. Over the years, science has taken advantage of this phenomenon by harvesting oysters and inserting foreign objects into their mantle. But these cultured pearls aren't nearly as valuable as their rare natural counterparts. One of nature's many gems. Got a burning question you want answered? Ask it in the comments or on Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe for more weekly science videos.
Sound like a damn faggot. But anyway, you know. Alright, if your screen just jumped on anything, I had to do some technical stuff. So let me read this last scripture. This is Luke 24:14. On down. The point is in verse 26. And they talked together of all these things which had happened. Speaking of the disciples. And it came to pass that while they communed together and reasoned, Yahweh Shah himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were holden that they should not know him, so they didn't know that it was Yahweh Shah. And he said unto them, What manner of communications are these that ye have one to another, as ye walk and are sad? And the one of them, whose name was Cleophas, answering said unto him, Art thou only a stranger in Jerusalem, and hast not known the things which are come to pass during these days? And he said unto them, What things? And they said unto him, Concerning Yahushua of Nazareth, which was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before the Most High and all the people. And how the chief priests and our rulers deliver him to be condemned to death and have him crucified. And crucified him. But we entrusted that it had been he which should have redeemed Israel. It didn't say nothing about no other nations. And beside all this, today is the third day since these things were done. Yea, and certain women also of our company made us astonished. You can read about them in Luke 24:10. Those women, I believe, which were early at the sepulchre. And when they found not his body, they came, saying that they had also seen a vision of angels, which said that he was alive. And certain of them which were with us went to the sepulchre, and found it even so as the woman had said, but they saw him not. But they saw not. Then he said unto them, O fools, this is Yahweh Shah speaking now. Then he said unto them, O fools, and slow of heart to believe all the prophets have spoken. to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Ought not Yahushua, says Christ there, ought not, but we know him as Yahushua, ought not Yahushua to have suffered these things and to enter into his glory? So Yahushua had to suffer things to enter into his glory. Just as we are going to have to suffer things and are suffering things in order to enter the glory, in order to enter into the kingdom. You understand? We got to suffer in order to enter into the kingdom. Because the servant is not greater than his master. So just as Yahushua had to suffer, we have to suffer as well. So this is the lesson, speaking about how, the pearl and all other information that was brought out this lesson. Hopefully you brothers learned something. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.